The Mighty Thor, issue 342. Going to give you all a heads up now. This is not one of these books where it's like the first major appearance of anyone, or the 1/6 1000th variant cover chase, New York Comic Con exclusive, blah, blah, blah. This was just an excellent read all around. I cannot remember for the life of me how I got my hands on this book, but I will say that I am glad that it is in my collection. This cover is absolutely gorgeous. And this, I believe, was kind of essentially a cool down issue. Before this, there was like a major event that happened. And I always seem to find the books that happen after the cool down issue, or after the major events. And that's okay. Pencils and story, Walt Simonson. Inks, Terry Austin. Letters, John Workman Jr. Colors, Christine Schill. Editing, Mark Grunewald. Editor-in-Chief, Jim Shooter. Big names on this book. This is the print date of April 1984. And I love the spire here in Asgard. The Kirby crackle effect going on here. Very much, of course, homage to Jack Kirby. And during this time period, early days of Star Wars, still kind of in that Buck Rogers type mentality. Star Trek, and what became before Star Trek? Forbidden Planet is what I'm thinking of. You get that very retro sci-fi feel. For me, I always think of like heavy metal magazines. This is something like, especially from the movie, where the segment with, I believe the guy's name is Dan, the character that John Candy voiced. You could just see this with the Lochnar inside in your mind. Asgard, the home of mighty Norse gods, and among its most hallowed halls is Valhalla, where the mortal heroes, chosen by the Valkyries, gather each sundown after a day of fighting and to sit beside the gods and regale to each other with tales of bravery. Presiding over the great hall is the most powerful god of all, Odin, the Allfather, who sees more with one eye than most see with two. All hail Odin. May his honor and majesty endure forever. And just a kind of a great way to lead in. And, he doesn't get a lot of screen time, but I like how Odin essentially dominates the power that is Thor. Time is nearly full. Would that my son Thor had not returned to Midgard. If my forebodings are correct, we may soon have strength. Long have we waited in vain to celebrate this person's arrival. Now the winds talk to me of his coming, and the number of the hall shall be complete. I wonder if the last hero does indeed appear. What harbinger of doom will he bring to Asgard? Methinks I hear their echoes already. Now, with that said, this was still, I'm not sure when they retconned Thor being Donald Blake. If you all know, let me know. But here, he looks more seriously like Prince Adam, in my opinion. He's helping clean up after a major battle in New York. And he meets this woman. Hello, miss. Good to see you're okay. Could you come a little closer? I'm glad you're still here. You saved me from the dragon, and I don't even know your name. Sigurd Jarlson, if you can believe it. Oh, I think that's a wonderful name, so strong. Do you live in the city? Brooklyn, miss. Just moved last week. As soon as I can, I'd like to be able to thank you properly for saving my life. If certainly, no problem. Wonderful. I look forward to it. You dope, you didn't even get her name. No, I didn't. Did I? It's just kind of a cool little way to segue from what happened the last few issues. However, keep her in mind because this is apparently one of her first appearances. I cannot remember her name for the life of me. So, with that said, Thor's saying that he's hearing these whisperings here on Earth. They're in the tongue of the old Vikings. He goes, the mighty Thor lives again. Days of yore, my followers did call my name, and even if I were worlds away, I could hear them and answer if it pleased me. I thought such days were long forgotten, but that voice calls me, now speaks with the same passion, the same belief as those of olden times. So I shall seek out this reminder of the past and learn calls out from a bygone age. While that's happening, again, I cannot remember this character's name. I'm not a very aficionado of Thor, so if you guys could please let me know down in the comments, let me know. I'd appreciate it. But essentially, why we're kind of getting this sort of cool down story to a degree, we're seeing buildups of what is to come. And, Simonson, Byrne, Claremont, Roy Thomas, Lynn Wein even, just knew how to build that up and get you excited, even in the quiet moments. So Thor ends up in Antarctica. And he comes across an old village, a village like the towns of the Vikings themselves, nestled in the very heart of this volcano's throat, hidden below the midst of icy land for many who might spy it, but not a soul seen. Stand forth! Are there any about to welcome a distant traveler? Naught but silence. And yet the voice came from here. I am sure of it. Stand a moment. What friendly scent is this? A cooking pot, stew. Fresh, though. Should have guessed. A graveyard. A Viking graveyard. These were my people. These were true Vikings, filled with the stone ships that carried the villagers away from the land. But where are the villagers now? What has become of them? And where is the owner of the voice that called to me? So he ends up inside this cave. And again, while this is happening, there's another cooldown between established characters. Again, I can't remember the names. It's been a couple of weeks since I read this book, so my memory is starting to fade a little bit. But essentially, this character has put himself in self-exile of the horrors that has happened to him. This one's trying to bring him out of it. So again, one of those things where while we're trying to cool down, seeing everything start to heat up. Now, Thor eventually comes across a true Viking. Look well, little god, upon the visage of death. None have ever ventured so far into the labyrinth of terror. None have proven worthy to die by my own spear. Speak your name, little one, and welcome. I am Thor, god of thunder, son of noble Odin, and heir to the throne of Asgard. If I am to journey today to the halls of death, then let it be in the fighting fury of my warrior's wrath. Have you, at you villain, here you, Hela's own kin, you would not find me simple prey. However, he does find out that this Viking that he's fighting is not what he thinks it is. Now again, the woman in the ambulance that we saw at the beginning of the book, find out there's more about her. The Viking that he slays, we come to find out that they are actually from a lineage of actual Vikings that ended up in Antarctica. And because they lived kind of nomadic, they don't know anything about the outside world. And he asks Thor to slay him so that he can go to Valhalla. No, grandfather, you shall not. Do you still think that your fate rests within yourself? That I have come all this way to discover a dotard seeking Valhalla through deceptions? You have called upon the gods of the icy north, and they have answered you. Now, your life is mine. Like I said, guys, as it cools down, things start heating up, and you're like, oh crap, like I want to go find issue 343, because I've had friends and family my whole life say, why do you keep collecting every single book? Why do you chase this? Why do you chase that? Why don't you just go for the big books? Or why don't you just stick to one line? And for the longest time, I tried. But as I've gotten older, I've realized I'm a story junkie. I love good storytelling. And so, as far back as I can remember reading comics, I'd always end up following the story. So even if, let's say Thor was to be continued in Avengers #3 or whatever, that's the route I would go. Because I want to read the story. I want to be enriched in what's going on. And again, while I've said it in the deep dives that we do on the After Dark channel, these are our modern mythos. Yes, Thor is from way back when, but Marvel has modernized him enough to fit into our modern mythology, as Jack said. So with that said, guys, if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop, wherever you get your action figures and comics. pick up this issue. If you have enjoyed this review, really would appreciate it if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy Valhalla bell, next subscribe. That way, as I get to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials. We'll try to make sure the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.